Hello everyone, Jules here. Today I'd like to make a video regarding the topic that I spoke about in my previous video regarding the correlation or supposed correlation between Saturn and Satan. And the previous video that I have made is in regard to astrology and the supposed relationship between the planet Saturn and the concept of Satan. But today I want to talk about this topic in regard to a tarot deck, and this is the Sola Busca Tarot, and this is quite an important historical deck, and it was apparently published in 1491 during the Renaissance period. There is speculation about the deck itself. It has been dated to 1491 and the artist is unknown. So there is speculation about the deck itself. I'm going to do a separate video in regard to the deck and in regard to my own thoughts about the deck. But today I'm going to talk about a particular book that was written a couple of years ago in 2017, and that book is called The Game of Saturn. And I've written down quite a few notes because I want to make a number of points about the book, about the theory, the main theory that's in the book. And one thing that I should mention about the deck as well, it has been dated to 1491 and it is thought to have come from Ferrara in Italy, and they think there is also a relationship to Venice as well. What I want to say about the deck, or more importantly the book actually, is that there are points that are made in the book that are unsubstantiated because this is based on independent research. Now, I have no problem with independent research. I'm actually an independent researcher myself. I have no problem with that. But the book presents as an academic type of book presentation, and I think it should have been mentioned probably in the foreword of the book that this is based on independent research by the author, and the publisher actually does publish works as a result of independent research by the authors. So I think that should be stated in the foreword for the book. I think it should be, made known, because academic research is more stringent, it's stricter, and it has a stricter process of elimination of previous and or other theories, whereas this book is about the theory of the author, and he has referred to other theories that support his theory. So instead of contrasting his theory with other theories, he hasn't done that. Now, I want to say also about, in regard to this deck, the Italian historian and tarot expert Giordano Berti has been studying the deck since 1986. He does not come to the same findings. He sees this deck as representing alchemy and hermeticism, as do other Italian scholars who have studied this deck as well. So they have not come to the same conclusion as the author of the book, The Game of Saturn. I think it's a bit of a shame that there is not enough interest in academia in regard to tarot. If we had someone like, if there was someone of the standing of, say, Ronald Hutton, if he studied this deck, as a historian that he is, I would like to see this theory substantiated further. Ronald Hutton has contributed so much to paganism and Wicca because of his academic historian studies, So I think, I would like to see academia actually take some interest in the subject of tarot. So, in general, academia is not interested in tarot. So this book has only been reviewed by, and only a few curious academics have actually reviewed this book, because academia in general is not interested in the subject of tarot. So at the moment, the theory in the Game of Saturn book cannot be proven or disproven. So it's up to the readers themselves to decide what they think, but not all of the research or not all of the evidence is there in the usual way that academic research is normally conducted. So I just want to say that about the book. Now I'm going to make a few more points in regard to the book, and I'm talking about this book not only because of the Sola Busca Tarot, but because the book is titled The Game of Saturn. And I think it's a bit unfortunate that the title of Saturn, the word Saturn, was used, because in this context, this particular god, Saturn, it's really got more to do with the Saturn or Cronus of the Greek Titan gods rather than the Saturn of the Greek Olympian pantheon. There is a difference. Saturn or Cronus from the Titan pantheon was a much darker god. So I want to make that point, because I think a lot of a wider audience would just take this as the, more better known Saturn of the Olympian gods, and then accept that there was this very, very dark or evil connotation with the god Saturn generally. Now, what this, amongst other things, what the theory of the Game of Saturn is saying is, it's saying that there was a particular figure around at the same time in the Renaissance called George Platon. And George Platon was a philosopher who was also a Neoplatonist. And he did find favour with the de Medici family, the aristocratic family, and he was a court philosopher. He did find favour, and his ideas were supported by the Medici family, and there was a Platonic academy, which was really Neoplatonism, was set up in Florence. So the thing about this particular philosopher is that he had some more hidden or heretical philosophies that were pagan. I think it is possible that there was an attempt at a pagan revival at the time, and George Platon died in around 1451, which was about 40 years before the Sola Busca Tarot was created in 1491. So it is possible that the aristocratic families of Italy, that there could have been a type of secret brotherhood. There were followers of George Platon, and he had this hidden philosophy about the Greek pantheon, as well as Neoplatonism. So it is possible that the ideas could have influenced the Sola Busca Tarot. The Sola Busca Tarot was in the possession of the Sola Busca family. And there's also a mention in the book about the Sola Busca Tarot being a non-Christian deck, and the first or only true pagan deck of its time. As far as being non-Christian, I would say that the Thoth deck is a non-Christian deck. There are non-Christian images in the Thoth deck as well. It's definitely a non-Christian deck. But as for the Sola Busca, there is an image in this Major Arcana which is clearly a Catholic Christian monk. Admittedly, he does have bat wings, so it's obviously a type of rebellious attitude or resentment about the Catholic Church. So there is at least one Christian image in the deck, and this is numbered 17. And as for the correlation with tarot in general, I'm going to do a separate video about my thoughts regarding the deck. So I'm just having a look at some more of my notes here, and continue with my points that I want to make. So part of the theory in this book is that there was this secret aristocratic brotherhood who were followers of the philosopher George Platon, and that there were darker rituals that were going on in order to, magic rituals in order to gain uphold their power in the aristocracy. And as far as that is concerned, George Platon did have some association behind the scenes with magic as well. That's possible as well. But as to the kind of rituals that may have been carried out by this secret brotherhood, this cannot be proven or disproven. I think it's reaching a bit far trying to speculate about the type of rituals that may or may not have been carried out, because at the moment that type of evidence is not there, or it hasn't been found. The type of theory that's in this book, it sounds like the plot of a Dan Brown novel, something like out of the Da Vinci Code. I think it would make a really good movie if that happened. I think there's a bit of overreach with the theory. I think there are some possible connections there, but as I said, at the moment this theory cannot be proven or disproven about whether there were these secret magic rituals and what kind of nature they were. I think it's a bit of a shame that, as I said, that the word Saturn was used in the title, because I think this false idea of Saturn being somehow connected with the Christian Satan, I think that's a bit of a shame. The other thing about George Platon as well is that he was originally from the city of Carthage, and he was living around the end period of the Byzantium Empire. And the theory also in the book is about the possibility that the Carthaginian god Baal, who is also similar to Moloch, was included in the Greek pantheon of George Plathon as well. I think that's a little bit of overreach as well. The Carthaginian ancient gods were very much in the past at the time that George Plathon was living. I mean, there's still no evidence of that as well, whether George Plathon also included the god Baal, the Carthaginian god Baal. You know, that hasn't been proven either. And what is also implied in the book is that the deck itself, is reflecting this philosophy of George Plathon and this secret brotherhood that, was performing these type of magic rituals which were potentially evil, and that the cards themselves are like talismans, and that the deck is like a type of grimoire. Well, again, this kind of thing should be proven, and I think it should be stated in the book, as I said, that this is independent research, and this is a theory, and in the academic world they would see this as a type of fringe theory because it's not supported fully by academia, because it is not academic research. So I think I've mentioned most of what I want to mention. I think it's also not all that beneficial that Neoplatonism was all lumped in the way that, it also gives the impression that Neoplatonism was embraced combined with paganism, because most of the Neoplatonists of the time were actually Christians and or Catholics. So, I think that's unfortunate too, to also, give this impression about Neoplatonism as well, or Hermeticism. There were pagan followers, practitioners, alchemists, but not all of them. Most of them would not have been pagans. So I think I've mentioned most of the points that I want to make about the book. I just think that there is overreach with the conclusions, because academic research and the process of that strict research, the process of academic analysis and academic conclusion was not made. And I think that the subject of tarot, I think it deserves better. I'm not saying that as far as the book is concerned, I'm not saying that entirely, but I think the subject of tarot deserves more. It deserves actual academic research. And if a book is written as a result of independent research, that should be pointed out more to people, so that they don't just think that this book is completely based on academic research and fully accepted in academia. That's my main misgiving about the book. I think it is a fascinating theory, I think it's possible, but you know, unless this can be substantiated, you know, it's not, you know, it's neither proven nor or disproven. So at the moment it's circumstantial evidence, or you know, the theory is not fully substantiated. And you know, this idea of the secret brotherhood, you know, using magic rituals to try to uphold their power as an aristocracy, you know, it's a bit like an early form of the Illuminati, 300 years before. This is why I was saying it would make a good Dan Brown novel. I think, you know, it's, as I said, I think it's a fascinating theory, but it needed to be substantiated more. It needs to be substantiated with academic research. But I think, you know, it is a fascinating theory, and I think this is actually a very interesting deck. I don't get any kind of evil vibe from this deck. It's a very interesting deck, and I think, you know, a book of this type with this type of theory, in some ways, you know, it creates an air of sensationalism also in regard to tarot, and I don't know that that is such a good idea either, because there already has been a lot of superstition in regard to the subject of tarot. And I think, you know, more historians need to look at tarot and at this deck in particular and treat this as a art relic from the Renaissance period, and they need to look at this from a historical perspective and put it into full context from a philosophical and artistic perspective. And, you know, they are my thoughts on the book called The Game of Saturn in regard to the deck, and they are my thoughts in regard to the title of the book as well, which I think was a bit unfortunate. I think it may have been better to have called it The Game of Baal or The Game of Moloch. I just think that the god Saturn, or the planet Saturn, is generally associated with the Olympian myth, Greek Olympian myth, rather than the Greek god of the Titan mythology. Okay, so I'll put some details below the video, and I hope you enjoyed my discussion about the Game of Saturn book. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.